correctness only to suit and to normalize mental sickness for feminist women, who are women behaving as men, who are the Babylon spirit. So it's a bad type of independence. It's a bad type of alien. It's a demon. It will bite the hand that feeds it. It will kick the bucket. It would cause chaos, mess, civil unrest, destroy your future, destroy your example, destroy your evidence, destroy your sample, destroy your evidence and your culture. It's cancer culture. Destroy history. Some history should be destroyed, not all of it. So she, in other words, she, he, the feminist, the woman behaving as a man, they want to destroy all the history and remake it as if it never existed, as the example I've already given. So that's the difference between men behaving as women and women behaving as men. Do they have a bigger personality, the man-woman and the woman-man? No, they don't, because they are unstressed. That means they don't suffer with bad stress. They don't suffer with poverty. They don't suffer with sickness. The Bible describes them as serpents that are never downtrodden on. They're never weak. As a viper, type of a snake. But God's people are even worse than snakes. They are such bad sinners. They're equivalent to worms that God calls Jacob the curse of destruction of the devil, and by God, both. God called him a worm. So the normal, so-called normal people are far more wicked and far more wrong and imbalanced compared to the extremist feminist women and demasculinated men. The normal men, the misogynist men, and the feminine woman are 10 times worse, because they do have a bigger personality and they don't take the responsibility for their temperamental influence. They cannot be permanently consistent in what they're put into practice what they preach. And this is the cause and the characteristic of God, is to be consistent, clear, to have a society of order, not chaos. So normal misogynist men, normal men, and normal feminine women are not consistent. They jump, they eat you up, they can eat you alive as a worm. And so that's the people on the outside that I'm looking at as feminist and demasculinated men. As for the people on the inside of the temple, also there's lots of Bible references referring to the people on the inside of God's temple. Those who are closest to you really do hurt you the most, including Jesus as a witness of normal people on the inside as insiders versus the abnormal people who are the outsiders. So the outsiders are snappy, the outsiders are bad-tempered, the outsiders are more adventurous, they have more of a journey and more discovery, they travel more. In particular, they don't ask questions by words, they ask questions by observing you. So they're the strong silent type, and they say silence is betrayal. So that's how they ask their questions. They very rarely voice their as outsiders. Insiders would ask too many questions compared to the outsiders that ask very little questions. They keep you having a guessing game. And the Bible says for normal people, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And as for the abnormal people who are outside, the yes means no and the no means yes. And this has become normalized. And it shouldn't do. So this is my tag. This is my video saying, what on earth is going on here? The abnormal is treated as normal, and the normal who are wicked and wrong are also treated as normal. So this is wrong. This is besides the point. As that song of Ghostbusters goes, somebody has to remove this devil in society. The affirmations in our sentences, the abnormal outsiders don't like any confirmation. Don't confirm. Again, there's that tension again. We are, what is, and what is going to, because God is, I am who I am. I was, I am, and I am to come, which is an affirmation. Are, was, will, should, would, can. Yes, probably. They don't like that. Even if you say maybe. So paranoid. This is the women who are behaving as men. They do like the feminist woman using the word for groupthink, so such as they don't like singular words, they like group words. They like negative, positive. I can't do this. I won't do this. So extreme objectionism. I wasn't, and self-defensiveness. They actually like that. So the more you try and defend yourself, the more they mock and add insult to your injuries and say that you are. That's how I close my video now, doing an analysis on you've been tangoed and what's wrong with society. In the reference of my Holy Bible, the first judge was founded in Samuel, the book of Samuel, the Old Testament. In Hebrew, as Jews being the witnesses before the Gentiles, so they were the first religious people, including the Muslims who were Palestinians, who were actually Jews. So many Muslims were in the past actually Jews, including the Arabs. No wonder then that so many wars have been fought against holy people and untimely to use their weaknesses against them, i.e. uneducation, unweaponization, and the undoing of a people, of God's people, was used as a strategy of attack. Someone had their lives saved from complete destruction and death by a concubine, a side woman. Who is that? as in the example of Saul, the judge, at that time, about 3,000 years ago, maybe 4, maybe older. They're the oldest books. Had been translated from Hebrew to English, so it's still relevant today because it's still happening today. So this judge recorded that how somebody in the Bible had a lot of misfortune and was saved by a side woman, or a side, like they call them concubines. And this was the tribe responsible for the murder of other concubines coming from Levite in Judges chapter 19, and was defeated and destroyed. And then were given over to the other tribe called the Benjamin, who was saved in contrast, in opposition to a concubine side woman that we all know as feminist woman, by a feminine woman such as Ruth, who was the lineage and the ancestry of David. And the relative, or the family of King David. So that was recorded in the book of Judges and in the book of Samuel. And looking at that contrast, that comparison between feminine woman and feminist woman. Feminists and feminine are both in the far right and the far left government and the central government. They're everywhere. So it doesn't matter whether you're left, right or centre, they're everywhere. But what is definite, if there were a statistic, that they are more in number. That means feminist women, not only are they more socially popular, there's also more of them. They are the majority, versus the feminine women, they are the minority. So being submissive to God and to my husband, physically, emotionally and spiritually, is how the woman, the so-called insiders, the normal woman, behave compared to the outsiders, the abnormal woman. They don't want to be physically, spiritually, emotionally, materialistically, financially dependent on a man, or to submit to a man whatsoever, because it destroys their independence. Whereas feminine women are extremely dependent on a man, which is more evil than feminist women, because they need to learn, the normal women who are feminine, that it is a sin and rebellion against God. It is a worm, that God calls Jacob a worm, to depend and rely on a man for money, sex, for children, for spiritual connection, emotional connection, financial development, career development. All of this makes the normal woman on the inside more evil compared to the abnormal woman on the outside, are less evil. However, to close this video, the stigma or the stereotype is that the feminist women are in the left government and the feminine are on the right government. That's a total lie. Because I have said that feminists are the majority and the feminine are the minority. Well, I'm guessing that it could be 50-50, could be half-half. However, God's women are neither. We are rare. We're the ones who are probably the rarest. We're the ones who are probably the minority, because we don't rely on man, on politics or anything like that. for our spiritual, for our desire to have a baby, for our desire to have sex, for our desire to progress in our career and our social activities, our dreams, our determination. We are not the same as feminist women and feminine women. We are unique God's women. That's how I close this video now, as Maya Maria Marina, old name and new name Mima, surname Punch, Karen Azeka.